My answer to really vamping up viewership, we need teams. I need a team to root for. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today, as we do usually on Sunday videos, we're gonna switch it up and I'm gonna do a video that I've never done before. There's been so much crazy that has happened in the disc golf world that I just wanna touch base on it. And I'm doing this video mostly for interaction between you guys, all of my amazing viewers out there. I want you to blow up the comment section and let me know your opinion on every single thing that we touch on. Like I mentioned, this is not really my style. I just like to focus on the woods and the game itself. But every once in a while, something like this does kind of pique my interest. And I want to start off by saying I am not a disc golf pro tour coverage watcher, and that is something that we will kind of loop back to towards the end of the video. It is not something I do. I do know quite a bit about the game and I do read a lot of articles, so I do stay pretty up to date on all of the stuff going on. But with all of that being said, I want to jump right into it. And up first, we have Ezra Robinson signing a 3-year deal with Latitude 64 with a base salary of $175,000. Now, when you look at some of the other contracts out there, for the back-to-back world champion, that does seem pretty underwhelming in my opinion. But Isaac is not known to have a big personality. He doesn't really push the sale of his discs or anything like that. But I think it is an absolute fantastic move for Latitude 64. They were missing kind of that juggernaut piece in the MPO side. They have Kristen Lopp, I believe is the pronunciation of her new last name, holding down the FPO side. So now I think they have two very strong pieces and Latitude 64 is gonna look really good moving forward. And like I mentioned, for the back-to-back world champion, $175,000 a year. When you compare him to, say, another two-time, segueing into something else, Ricky Wysocki, a two-time himself, he had a 4-year, $4 million contract with Dynamic Discs. Now, you know, it seems like there's a little unrest in the waters right now of where Ricky might go. It seems like he's not going to stay with Dynamic Discs, but Ricky is definitely more of a character, a figure in the disc golf world as far as personality and impact than I think Ezra Robinson. Everybody loves Ricky. He is an absolute slayer. He does not take days off. He is always trying to compete and he's always trying to win. You know, how is Dynamic Disc doing with a $4 million, $1 million a year? Are they benefiting off of that? My gut's telling me probably not. And I think it might be a situation of the manufacturer, not so much Ricky. I think if Ricky had, a similar contract with one of the, even the big two, Discraft or Innova, I think they may have seen quite a bit more return on that contract. At the end of the day, Dynamic Discs, it's just, they're not to the level in sales, popularity as, the big two, big three, big four, as other companies are starting to push up there. So I am curious, what do you guys think? Is Ricky staying? It really seems like he's not. Where is he gonna go? Ricky back to Innova would be really cool, but Innova, that's another topic. Innova's taken this completely different approach of just keeping their core team, and it seems like cutting out anybody who's not still at the top of their game. Innova seems very cutthroat right now. They have made some signings, but they're not pushing out these massive contracts like we're seeing a lot of these other companies. And you guys let me know your opinions on Innova and the route they're going compared to anybody else. I would like to see Ricky come back to Innova. I think that would be amazing. I'm guessing he's not, maybe Discraft, but Discraft has completely lit up the signing world. Segueing right into that, Discraft signed Cale Leiviska. I love Cale Leiviska. Cale Leiviska is so good for disc golf. He's very positive. He's been devoted to it his whole life. He's gone into course design. He's killing it in that regard. Cale Leiviska is amazing. Seeing him leave Prodigy was very shocking. Not shocking, but shocking. He's been there so long that I think a lot of people just thought he was going to just retire there, essentially. I think moving to Discraft, I believe the Icon team is what they call it, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. I want Cale Leiviska. He deserves everything that he can possibly get for anybody that will give him, and I think Discraft is going to treat him very well. Now, this is the biggest topic and something that I truly want I want everyone's opinion. The elephant in the room as soon as we mention Discraft, and being somebody who really focuses on the history and makes a lot of videos on the history of disc golf, can Climo, the champ himself, leaves Innova signs with Discraft, and in the matter of like 2 weeks has his own brand, dropped 3 discs already. What are your guys' opinions on this? Now, Ken leaving Innova and going to the biggest competitor, I think took the whole world by storm. And, you know, from what I understand is Innova and his contract with Innova was not good. And I would love to see Ken Climo be able to monetize the way that people are, like some of these $1 million contracts that we've talked about. I'm so on the fence. Like, obviously, I'm an Innova fan mostly, like that's most of my bag. And it was a big shock, and I was really sad to see him leave. But again, I understand it. If Discraft gave him an offer, he couldn't refuse. I just don't know. It's also quick. His own disc line, his own brand, the logo, nobody seems to be a fan of. I don't know who designed that logo, but no one is the biggest fan of it. I think the key, though, in my opinion, is I think he needs to be in the field. I think if he's going to drop this line of discs, we need to see him playing in tournaments. And I know that he's mentioned his body is pretty torn up. He needs to get that looked at. But I think that's a key ingredient. He said, from what I understand, he might not even tour this year. I would love to see Ken continue to build these brands of discs, but I do think he needs to get out there and compete to kind of justify it in a way. Not that he needs to prove anything to anybody, but I just think it will help him personally. People see him back out on the field. And I think it's very similar to Scott Stokely. You know, Scott Stokely's coming out with his line of discs, and that dude has never taken a day off. You know what I mean? He was touring in the MPO last year. Like, Scott Stokely, and I think that's what's important. You see him out there throwing his disc, playing day after day. When I checked the PDGA website, it looked like Ken hadn't played a tournament in about 6 or 7 years-ish. So it's shocking. It is shocking. It does have that money grab feel, which I'm all for. He deserves it. Like I said, he deserves it. But I think if we see him in action again, it kind of pulls away from that money grab vibe and just as somebody finally getting a second wind and, you know, pushing their way back into the marketplace. Either way, both understandable, but secretly, I just want to watch Ken Climo on coverage again. And one of the newest ones, Jeremy Koling signs a 4-year, pretty lengthy, 4-year contract with MVP. I didn't expect to see Jeremy Koling leave Innova. I wasn't completely surprised when he left Innova. Catching a 4-year contract with MVP, I've seen some people talking about MVP really wanting to like go very social media side, very personality side. Obviously, Big Germ, one of the most recognizable people in disc golf as far as commentary, just on camera time, and you know, his goofy antics and his funny shots and Jomez and everything else. You know, Jeremy Koling is all over the place. So, you know, I don't know. It'd be really cool to see Jeremy Koling get a resurgence, see him really battling it out at the top tier of some of these big tournaments with MVP. That would be great to see. You know, I'm curious the route MVP, if they were going more social media or more high competition, high level, or just both. I think he still definitely has some in the tank, but I feel like his focus has definitely been more social media the last few years. I could be wrong on that, but you know, like everything else, you start to age, you kind of get out of your prime. He is very smart for kind of pushing that other avenue and still remaining more, I mean, in fact, more relevant than he probably was when he was at his top shredding potential. And coming full circle back to the Robinson brothers, we have Ezra signing a 2-year deal with Discraft. Now, Ezra, shredder. I think he is just gonna continue to grow. He is a very talented player. Within 5 minutes, he had his own buzz drop. Just side note, wish it wasn't a buzz. You know what I mean? It's always a buzz. I wish he would have went a different route. That's completely irrelevant, not an important take. His buzz stamp was pretty cool, but I don't know. I wish he would have went a little more abstract, a little more oddball pick, if you know what I mean. But I would absolutely love to see how both of the Robinson brothers do in their new respected places. It would have been cool if they somehow could have stayed in the same manufacturer together, but I do think, you know, at this point, with how talented they both are, it'd be hard for a manufacturer to swing both of them. You know, Prodigy had them both, but now they've really set themselves apart. It would have been cool somehow. I think they could have had some cool stamps, like brotherly stamps. I feel like that was really missed by Prodigy. Maybe they did. I don't know much about Prodigy, but some cool brother stamps, if they would have signed to the same place, I think would have been very cool. Now, just some overarching themes. You know, we look at Prodigy, and over the last 2 years, it's essentially been dismantled. The Robinson brothers left. They had Gannon at one point. You know, Cale's left. They're kind of in shambles. They still have Luke Humphreys, a few other people. You know, Luke surprises me. I don't know what kind of contract he had with them. And I think Luke still very much is a shredder, but he has so much going on with GK Pro, GK Go Throw now. I think it's rebranded too. And then we look at Innova, and this is another interesting one. Innova just went the route of, and not, you know, they just cuts. You know what I mean? Cutting people that maybe they didn't think were at the height of their game anymore. They cut Jeremy Koling, Emerson Keith, Joel Freeman, Haley King. All of these people extremely good at the game of disc golf, but, you know, as far as competition goes, maybe not as relevant as they were in the past. So it's very interesting. I was hoping they would have one big signing. They did sign, you know, Emily Weatherman. She's, you know, she was the rookie of the year, I believe. So some little signings. I was hoping that they would, you know, have some big blockbuster, and they just didn't, which was very interesting. And as we've talked about, Discraft has just gone the route of gobbling up everybody. I'm very curious to see what Discraft is going to do. When I see that many personalities there, it seems like disc sales would be hard. There's so many just icons right now to choose from when it comes, you know, to a signature disc. And I feel like when you're kind of lone, you can scoop up a lot more of that. But maybe when we look at Ricky, maybe that's just not the case. So I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. As far as other companies go, DGA, honestly, I'm not too sure. Andrew Marweed re-signed. I have met Andrew, Michigan native himself. Very nice guy. I would love to see him kind of have some resurgence. And I was kind of shocked that he re-signed with DGA, but hopefully we can see him back, you know, on some lead cards. And another thing that kind of slid under the radar because it kind of happened last year mid-season, but he did re-sign, Kevin Jones at Innova. I would love, if I could pick, you know, 3 people to really see a resurgence in, I would love to see Kevin Jones back battling on lead cards. He's very entertaining. He's very good for the sport. Might be the most enjoyable person to watch. He's the only person stepping up to a tee pad and for absolutely no reason throwing a grenade 300 feet over all of the trees. Everybody loves to see it. Everybody's happier when Kevin Jones is winning, so hopefully he can have a really good rebound this year. Now I just want to spend the last few minutes just kind of talking about the state of disc golf and where everyone thinks it's going to go from here. And one thing that I have just always felt about disc golf, and looping all the way back to the beginning when I said I don't watch the Pro Tour, is I think the final product for the most part is pretty boring. Yes, I hate to say that, but it's just how I felt. And I would love some ideas. I don't know how we would change that. The product seems boring. And that's just my personal take. Again, don't roast me in the comments. But even, you know, while I've been here at Lula, it may have been the first, but the 2025 Go Throw that they're doing in New Zealand, you know, I sat and watched the FPL round, and it was an absolute snooze fest. Absolute snooze fest. And I just think, I don't know what we need to do to revamp it. I mean, hole 1 was 700 and some feet. You know, throw the driver, pick up the driver, throw the driver, pick up the driver. And I'm just like, I don't know what we can do to make it more entertaining. Yes, social media disc golf is picking up a lot, which is good. But I think at the end of the day, like with any sports, when that big competition is rolling on, people need to be tuned in. That's how you get big advertisers in the game and everything else. And Jomez, phenomenal post-production videos. Jomez absolutely knocks it out of the park. Our Super Bowl, if you will, for disc golf, I think had 170,000 views. You know, a lot of them average around 50,000. You know, we're capped. We're going to be capped for a long time until those numbers can really start to push up. And DGN Network, I don't know. I haven't watched it. All I know is all of last season on all of the disc golf threads and stuff that I follow, people were flooding, not happy with their product. I don't know what they got viewership-wise. I tried to do some research on it, but they do all disc sports, so the numbers were not all designated for disc golf. But I didn't watch anything on DGN, but people were upset. I swear, every tournament, a new flood of comments would come in. So I'm not entirely sure which route DGN should go. I don't know which route us as disc golfers will go, because I think disc golf is going to continue to grow, but we need people tuning in for our championships, for our big tour events. My answer to really vamping up viewership, and I have no idea the layout, that's above my pay grade, and I'm not gonna know the answer. We need teams. I need a team to root for. A lot of my favorite disc golfers, I don't get the chance to watch battling lead cards very often. People like Nate Sexton, Greg Barsby, Matty Oram. I mean, Matty O still shreds. They're all still shredders. Put them on a team. You know, let their, what they specialize in really be able to be showcased. And again, I don't know the layouts. I don't know how it works in college, but I really think disc golf needs teams, and everything will be a lot more impactful. Right now, individual hopping, around, it's exciting. You're a fan of them. Like, if I'm a big fan of somebody, I don't care which manufacturer they're on. I just like them individually. But if they left my favorite team, we'd be having a different conversation. You know what I mean? I think teams are the answer. And right now, if that were to start today, man, Discraft would be an absolute juggernaut. But, if you guys have any speculations of how we could make teams work, I think that would be great. Worst shot, alternating shot maybe. Maybe you can have one person on the driver, one person in charge of mid-ranges, one person on the putter. I don't know. I think you could get creative with it. And I don't know. I personally think that would be super entertaining. Real quickly, guys, in the comments, I would love to see this. Build your dream team. Okay, you need a backhand driver. You need someone on the forehand driver. You need someone real finessey with the mid-range, someone on the putter, and someone purely for style points, putting in celebrity shots of maybe something like, Kevin Jones with his grenade, a specialty, something like that. Put your dream team in down below. And I think it's safe to say we've tried it long enough, but making courses longer is not the answer. That's the route that we've been going for years and years, 1,500-foot holes. I don't think that's it. When you watch coverage, I do enjoy watching skins. When it's distance driver, mostly open on a lot of holes, that's not the answer. So I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know if we need to try, we can't limit discs. I think about that all the time. How can we make discs harder to throw? But that's not gonna be an option at this point. So I don't really know. I don't know if it needs to be, add more woods, which then is less live spectators. I don't exactly know the route to go, but I know for disc golf to take that big step, we need big advertisement money, which means we need a lot more views. And disc golf is just one of those few sports that there's a ton of us out there, but maybe 20% actually watch live coverage and pay attention to tournaments. So we need to get that other 80% involved, and we need the product to just be better. And I think COVID was a big opportunity for that, because we got the COVID boom, everything went insane. And I think we didn't retain all that well, which I think shows maybe the product just wasn't that good. We had the eyes there, we weren't able to keep them there. So that's another thing that's just kind of floated through my mind. And like always, we could try to make the baskets smaller. We can eliminate the jump putts. A lot of other sports have had to basically cut off technology because technology outgrows the sport. Discs are becoming too good and too effective. You've seen it with javelin, baseball, pretty much every sport. They have to essentially make a cutoff where it's like, we're no longer going to continue to advance all of this stuff because we cannot make the sport hard enough to support it. And as everyone gets better, like basketball, the three-point line goes back, javelins have to become less aerodynamic, so on and so forth, to kind of keep it competitive where it is. Right now, I feel like disc golf skill is getting so high, and the infrastructure of the courses just cannot keep up. So maybe we need to look at, limiting bags, limiting the number of discs. That's an option. But again, I think we're in too deep, and I don't think it's going to happen. We can't have, 1,000 approved discs no longer be approved. That's definitely not going to be the answer, but just things to think about maybe moving forward. I do know that there are restrictions on discs. They've been the same for a long time, but I don't know. like I said, I don't know, guys. This is all just speculation and talk. This is a video that I never expected to make, and I don't know if I'll make another one unless you guys really enjoy it. I never mind sitting back and chatting disc golf. Nothing too serious, no crazy hot takes. That's not really my personality. It's not really the vibe of the channel. So if you have any extremely hot takes, you know, leave them in the comments. Be respectful. I love to chat about it any day of the week, all day. That is going to wrap it up for today's conversation. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed the content, please hit that subscribe button, as I've mentioned over and over. Let me see you in the comments, okay? Let's get some engaging conversation going. As always, thank you to all of my members. I appreciate you guys a ton. And now it's your turn to go toss some plastic.